Hi everyone, my name is Anitra and I am an AdSense optimization specialist. So welcome to week 7 of our AdSense 10 challenge. Thanks for sticking with us. Now that we've talked to you about how to listen and understand your users and think about some important questions, now let's talk about how to use those learnings to increase user engagement on your site. All right. So today, as we work through the topic of engaging your users, don't forget that the rest of the week will be filled with activities designed to reinforce what we're talking about here. So if any questions come up along the way, feel free to jot them down, and we encourage you to definitely bring your questions to our office hour session on Friday, as well as ask each other, ask other publishers in our Learn with Google for Publishers community. All right, so first we're going to talk about how to use the design and structure of your site to guide your users through your pages and to what's most important. And then we're going to go into ways to get your users to really interact with your site. All right, so starting off, 6 ways to make sure your site is designed to guide that user through to the best user experience, the one you have in mind when you're working on your site, and the user experience that leads them through to find what they're looking for, and for you as a publisher, prioritizes what's most important for your site goals. All right, so number 1, contrast. What's most important on your page? You can use color, saturation, opacity to really make sure that you're juxtaposing the key elements on your page and make what's most important pop. So in this example, you'll see when we're looking at this advertisement for the Chromebook, the big bold green name of the Chromebook really pops out at you, especially against the white background and against the smaller black body text below. And your eye probably moves from that name to the image of the Chromebook and then down to that blue Order Now button, which, although smaller than the other elements we've discussed, since it's blue, again, that color and that contrast moves the user through to that so they can make that decision if they'd like to. All right, number 2, using size or scale to show the user, okay, this is what's most important, this is what you should move through first. You can see in this example we've got a nice variety of stories from the Google Cultural Institute, but those 3 larger story windows we've highlighted at the top invite me as the user to start there and read through those first and then move forward as I'm interested. And number 3, repetition and alignment. So you want to be consistent about how you present similar types of information on your site so that the user can quickly understand what they're looking at on any page that they click through. So you want to use the same format for your links and for your body copy. And here in this example, when we're looking at these Google search results and we're looking specifically at the subcategories that come up for this Google Maps result, you can see how, since they all have these this clear language of the hyperlink titles and the 2-line snippets of text there, you can understand as a user, okay, these are subcategories and they belong to what is above. And the repetition of that same text snippet shows that these are all equal subcategories that will bring me to different options within the larger Google Maps category. Number 4, white space. So the point here is let your content breathe. You can have the best content in the world, but if all of it, if you have a bunch of great content crowded in together, on a single page, users might not know where to start. They might miss the big wins, the most appealing or popular content. Make sure that the key elements on your page have their own space and that the user can easily find them. So this example we have here is probably one of the more extreme examples of really embracing the power of white space. But as you can see, when you come to google.com, the main action is search. You can check out a few other options down there below in the blue text, but we really want the user to focus on search here, and that's pretty clear. All right, number 5, Unity. So you want to create a unified user experience across your site and across the other channels or platforms that you use, and use similar design features to show the user that, okay, this is the same site that I'm familiar with, even if I'm seeing the responsive version of it from my smartphone, or I'm using the mobile app version, or I'm reading your blog or your newsletter. The content and the layout may change depending on the context of these different channels or platforms, but use your logo, your family of colors and fonts to provide that cohesion to your designs. So in this example, whether I'm a user coming to search on Google from my laptop or from my smartphone, I can see that that nice cohesive Google logo and the clean white space and the prominent search box. And I know the action that I'm taking here. And number 6, our related point, balance and structure. So when you look at your pages, when you look at your overall page layout, is it balanced in structure? If you superimpose a grid over your page, it can help you evaluate the structure of your pages and understand, okay, this is roughly kind of how many columns and rows my design breaks down into. And then where you have clean, balanced pages, this can gently guide the user through to the related sets of information like we talked about that they're looking for. And the important thing to keep in mind here is that, yes, imbalance can create tension for users, and you want to consciously be aware as a publisher how you're going to use balance or imbalance. So if you really want to make a particular element pop and draw the user's eye to it, maybe you can consider placing that outside of this grid or breaking the pattern slightly. But just be sure you're doing it consciously, and that your hierarchy defines, okay, this is what's important, this is what the user, we would like the user to move through next. So in this example, we see the results page for the chocolate chip cookies, and you see the standard search results falling neatly into that first column, and you see that the images and the nutrition information presented in our Google Knowledge Graph part of the search results on the right, slightly breaks the mold a little bit, but still falls kind of neatly within the vertical layout. Okay. So now that we've talked about guiding your users through your pages, let's talk about ways to get your users to interact with your site and really engage. All right, number 1, showing related content. So you are a publisher with a lot of great original content on your site. Keep your users moving through that content. If I'm a user and I'm reading, an article or a blog post that you've written, show me related articles. Show me most viewed articles, most commented upon articles, either to the side or below the main content that I'm viewing. And you can do this with, it doesn't have to be, articles or blog content, it can also be related products. And in this Chrome web store example that we have here, the assumption is I'm looking at a particular app from a certain developer, and below the main description I can see other apps that this developer has made. So there are a variety of different services out there to show related content for your particular type of content, and I definitely recommend taking advantage of those to usually increase the number of pages per visit that your users are going through. All right, number 2, talk to your users. So give your users the option to receive updates or targeted content. You can send them an email newsletter, add an RSS feed, build your presence on social networks. depending on the kind of content that you're talking, that you're producing, and the kind of users you're working with, you can really showcase kind of the faces behind your organization. And an example that we have from our own team is here on AdSense. We send publishers like yourselves who decide they want to receive our AdSense newsletter. We send them, this great newsletter email with new tips and key product updates. And we've definitely seen these kind of re-engagement vehicles working off your site work very well for different publishers. Okay, number 3, comments, reviews, and ratings. So along the same principles as talking to your users and getting them to engage, you can also enable mechanisms to encourage user-generated content. So in particular, if you have options for your users to star your content or add comments, or if you're using social widgets to +1 or Facebook like, this lets your users speak to other users about the value of your content, what they liked, what they didn't. And then also for you as a publisher, you can use that information to say, okay, hey, I'm going to create more content like that, or actually, no, it looks like users aren't responding well to that. Let me see what can be adjusted there. And in this Chrome Web Store example, in the Chrome Web Store example, as I discussed, you can star a particular app, you can add comments, and you can see how many people have +1'd it. Number 4, search. So think of search really as your opportunity to grab your users and help get them what they're looking for. So odds are, if I'm a user coming into your site, I'm going to take a quick look and see what jumps out at me according to the design principles we talked about in the first section. But if I'm still looking for a piece of content that I can't find and I'm really want to hunt it down, and there's a nice clean prompt
Okay, sorry about that, everyone. Looks like we had a small internet hookup. So Anitra, can you start us off again with the search segment, and we'll just take it from the top?
Yeah, sure. All right. Hi there again, guys. So as I was saying before we popped out, make sure that you have a nice search box on a prominent placement in your site, and have it in a consistent place so that your users can find what they're looking for if it's not immediately apparent to them from the design, and that no matter what page they're going through, they know where to look for that box. All right, so number 5, customization. And this will be more applicable to some publishers than others, but definitely where it makes sense, allow your users to adapt your content to their preferences to really increase their sense of engagement with the site that they're on. If you have a user login, then build up your profile options. Let users customize their profile with an image, choose their themes, select their regions to show them relevant deals. This can also apply to the newsletter point that we brought up earlier. Allow them to select what content they actually want to get updates about, and opt out of information they might not want to have. So if you look at this Chrome theme example, then it allows the user using our Chrome web browser to choose their theme. All right, number 6, site speed. So I can't stress enough how important it is to make sure your site loads as lightning fast as possible across all devices that your users are coming from. You know, slow sites lose traffic, and particularly now as we're seeing more and more users coming from mobile devices, whether that be smartphones or tablets or, you know, whatever the next new thing is, don't keep those users waiting. And if you use Google Analytics, you can look at your analytics site speed report to see how you're doing. And I definitely recommend that all of you check out our Google Developers page speed tools. And we have both options to analyze your site and get some prioritized suggestions that you can, improvements you can make yourself to make your site faster, as well as our free page speed service. That with a few install setups allows you to serve your site from Google infrastructure and really maximize the speed there. And lastly, my favorite, surprise and delight. So this is the one that can be, you know, kind of hardest to define, because really it's all about looking for opportunities to connect with your users in unique ways and create those magic moments that, you know, we really believe in here at Google. And, you know, you as a publisher know your users probably better than anyone, and especially using, you know, some of the insightful questions we've guided you through asking, you have the best insight into where these opportunities lie to really give your brand a personality and pull in those new visitors. But one of the examples that I really like is on Google search. If you search for the number of horns on a unicorn, you get displayed this calculator showing the number 1. You know, and it whatever fits within your brand personality. It, you know, doesn't have to be you know, quirky or charming. It can fit whatever your particular vibe is. But this is the opportunity to think, to kind of set yourself apart from other publishers who may be offering similar content but not communicate the same kind of feel. All right. So as a quick recap, when you're guiding your users through your pages, draw their eye to what's important by using differences in size, color, opacity, saturation. Use white space to let top content really breathe and give users the space to see it. Group related information together, both in kind of formatting and placement, so that as a user I can glance at your site and quickly understand, okay, I'm moving through these types of results or this type of category information. And do everything you can to have a unified user experience across different platforms and channels. You know, again, that doesn't mean the exact same content, but it means the same you know, kind of design structure. And use that balance and structure that you've established to guide the user's eye in an expected way through your information, and maybe now and then in an unexpected way when you want to shake things up. So then when we're thinking about getting your users to engage with your site, you can provide a related content section. You can send email newsletters, have a feed, set up a forum. Can allow your users to leave comments, reviews, or ratings. And you can make sure you have a search box in a prominent place, or add one if you don't have one in the first place. You can offer user customization either to their profiles or to the themes or layouts of your site. Make sure your site loads as fast as possible, and again, find ways to surprise and delight your users and communicate you know, your unique brand and publisher vibe. So when it comes to things to try, hopefully throughout this session we've brought up some new things you haven't thought of, and also maybe just emphasize things you have been thinking about before and just given you more incentive to really try them. So, go through your site, note down any structural or design changes you're thinking about making, and then think about the potential impact of these changes and use that to prioritize them and start working through them. Definitely recommend, using analytics to set up A/B testing where it's relevant, and we'll talk, more about A/B testing in a later session. If you are thinking about adding a newsletter, you can think about what topics you'd cover. And depending on the content of your site, you can look into adding the related content type section that we've talked about, or comments and rating functionality. And you can try Google Page Speed tools to speed up your site. All right, so that is it for this week's class. Hope that helped you think of new opportunities to engage your users. In tomorrow's Hangout on Air, we're going to be talking about UX in more detail by meeting a few members of our AdSense community, hearing about their experience, getting some of their thoughts on best practices as well. And if you have any questions on this week's topic, please be sure to stop by our office hours on Friday from 11 to 11:30 a.m. Pacific time, where a member of our AdSense team will be there to help out and answer your questions. And next week, as I alluded to, we'll be talking about A/B testing and its impact on user experience and kind of tracking the changes that you're testing. All right. So that is all my wisdom on user experience. Hope that was helpful. And yeah, looking forward to helping you build better, faster, stronger sites. Thanks, guys.